Sentence structure. Phrases, independent clauses, and dependent clauses. Sentences. A sentence is a group of words with a subject and a predicate. Good sentences convey a complete thought. Good sentences make sense. What is a subject? The subject of a sentence usually tells who or what the sentence is about. For example, Mr. Goldie is my English teacher. Mr. Goldie being the subject. The subject of a sentence usually tells who or what the sentence is about. In this case, who. My cell phone was stolen from my locker. The subject of this sentence is my cell phone. It's telling what this sentence is about. My cell phone. What is a predicate? The predicate of a sentence tells about the subject or tells what the subject is doing. Mr. Goldie is my English teacher. This is the predicate because it's telling about the subject. My cell phone was stolen from my locker. This is the predicate because it talks about the subject. So, sentences are groups of words with a subject and a predicate. Some other examples. The bully picked on the helpless child. The bully is the subject, and the predicate is picked on the helpless child because this is what the bully did. She asked him to the dance. She is the subject, and what did she do? She asked him to go to the dance with her. She is the subject. Asked him to the dance is the predicate. The subject of this sentence is the internet, and the predicate is went down. Predicate is went down because this is the action. This is what happened to the internet. The internet is the subject. This is what this whole sentence is about. There are other things called clauses and phrases. Notice that at the beginning it says here we're going to study about phrases, independent clauses, and dependent clauses. So what are these clauses? A clause is a part of a sentence which contains its own subject and predicate. So basically a sentence. A phrase, however, is a part of a sentence which does not contain its own subject and predicate. So let's look at some examples. We have two kinds of clauses, independent clauses and dependent clauses. Independent clauses make sense on its own. It can stand alone as a sentence. This is sometimes referred to as the main clause. A dependent clause does not make sense on its own. It cannot stand alone as a sentence. This is sometimes referred to as the subordinate clause. So, some examples. The phrase, after school, a part of a sentence which does not contain its own subject and predicate. After school does not contain a subject, it does not contain a predicate. Katie studied for her test. This is an independent clause because it's a full sentence. It can stand by itself. It makes sense. Katie is the subject. Studied for her test is the predicate. This is a phrase. It does not have a subject or a predicate. After she finished studying, she went to work. She went to work is an independent clause because it can stand alone. She went to work. She is the subject. Went to work is the predicate. It's a complete sentence. However, after she finished studying does not make sense by itself. If I just say, after she finished studying, you'd be like, what? What are you talking about? It's dependent on the independent clause to make sense. If I combine this with this, then it makes sense. After she finished studying, what? She went to work. Oh, okay, I get it. Here's another one. Whereas the independent clause is at the beginning and the dependent clause is next. Katie felt a lot better after she studied for the test. If I just wrote Katie felt a lot better, put a period right here, then that makes sense. However, if I just write after she studied for the test, you'd be like, well, what are you talking about? What's going on? There's information missing. So it's dependent on the independent clause to make sense. Katie felt a lot better after she studied for the test. Oh, I get it. So we have dependent clause, independent clause, or independent clause, dependent clause. These are complex sentences. So it's your turn. On my homepage, you're going to continue down to complete these questions. Your directions are to copy the sentences below, these ones, into your notes. Then underline and identify the phrases and clauses in each of the following sentences. So, underline the phrase in this sentence, 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 if it exists. Underline the independent clause in each sentence, and underline the dependent clause in each sentence if they are there. Okay? Good luck.